Good evening. This mic is set for Lauren, not for me. So I am so happy to see so many people here. My name is Carrie Warla. I am the director of the Saline District Library. I welcome you to this in-person forum. We've done this virtually the last couple of years. It's so great to see everybody in person. Forum featuring the candidates for Saline City Council. This event is co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Washtenaw County and the library. At the Saline District Library, our mission is to ignite a joy of discovery and to build community through resources, opportunities, and new ideas. We work every day to be a welcoming and inclusive place where residents of all ages can learn, connect, and explore. We are happy to partner with the League and the candidates tonight, and to all of you for coming. By listening, asking questions, and sharing ideas, we all play a part in shaping Saline's future.
Thank you, Carrie. Yes, I echo her statement that we're so happy to partner with the Saline Library. I'm Catherine Miro, president of the League of Women Voters here in Washtenaw County. And I welcome you to tonight's forum. The candidates will be on the ballot Tuesday, November 4th. There are other items on the ballot too, and we have some information in the back. Statements expressed by the candidates are neither endorsed nor opposed by the League or the library. Also, we do not certify any candidate responses to questions as accurate. Voters are encouraged to fact-check information shared at this forum. We bring you tonight's forum because we believe deeply that respectful sharing of views on community issues is vital to the functioning of American democracy. Our moderator this evening is Lauren Hornberger, Saline resident and program director of the League of Women Voters of Washtenaw County. Welcome, Lauren.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming. Good evening. As Catherine mentioned, my name is Lauren Hornberger. Thank you. Many thanks for the candidates for coming and for those of you in the community for joining us as well. One note is this forum is being recorded, so we will have it on our the League of Women Voters Washtenaw County YouTube available for the community as well. I'd like to make sure everyone has their cell phone silenced or any electronic devices since we are recording, and that is just helpful for the forum. So I'll share a little bit about how we have structured the evening so you know how we're going to ask the questions. So each candidate will have an opening statement, and they'll each have 90 seconds to share their opening statement. Each will have a closing statement of up to 90 seconds as well. And then in between the opening and closing statements, I will ask previously prepared questions that we've gathered that are relevant to the Saline community.
Lauren, you need to get right up on the microphone.
Thank you. The candidates were not given the questions that we're going to ask prior to the forum. We have used a systematic randomizer, so everyone will start, be the first person to ask questions, and I will let you know the order of the questions as well, so you're aware. We will also ask anyone in the audience who would like any questions. So if you have a note card and you're ready to turn it in, you can just raise it in the air. And we also have some Saline High School students will gather it, so they're in the back. So you can just raise up the card and they will gather it from you. Also, if you're interested in asking a question, you can either get a note card from the back of the room or also just raise your hand and one of the students will also bring a note card to you. We also have a timer this evening. So Carolyn Madden is our timer, and she will hold up a sign when you have 30 seconds remaining. So she's showing you the sign, and she will also hold up a sign when your timer is up to let you know that will stop. And I will let you finish your statement as well too, but just let you know that the time is up. Also, I will read the questions one time. But if you would like them repeated at any point, just let me know, and I'm happy to repeat the question. We also want to make sure that candidates focus on the issues, and no personal attacks will be permitted. Great. So we are going to go ahead and start with opening statements. And we are starting in alphabetical order by first name. So I will ask Brett first for your opening statement.
All right. My name's Brett Pollington. I am a musician and a dad and a real estate agent here in Saline. I am, doing this because I care a lot about our community and I want to give back, and care a lot about the environment, and I just want to get more involved than I already am.
Hi, I'm Jen Harmount. I am the incumbent city council representative. I just finished off my first term, or I'm finishing off my first term, and I moved to Saline back in 2016 for my job. I work at Toyota. I'm a senior analyst, and I have a degree, so I'm originally from Michigan. I have a degree from Michigan State in marketing and supply chain management. And on the side, what I do, I play cello, I love to play golf, and I also work with an environmental group. I like to do things to help biodiversity, and I really love Saline. And one of the things that attracted me to Saline was the historic beauty, and the other thing that attracted me was the school system. So it's something that, those two things would be something that I really want to help protect and preserve for Saline.
Good evening, all. How are you tonight? My name is Jim DeLorco. I moved to the community about 15 years ago, in 2010. I previously served on the Saline City Council from 2020 through the end of 2023 during one of the most challenging times our city has faced through the COVID-19 pandemic. Through that period of time in service to the community, we faced a number of challenges that were extraordinarily difficult for business owners, and I was compelled to learn at a breakneck pace about how to take direction from folks in the community, residents and business owners alike. I have a 16-year-old daughter that attends school here at Saline High School. Like Jen, we also moved to the community because it was an incredibly small town, charm bedroom type community, and I thought it would be a wonderful place to raise our kids. I've thoroughly enjoyed living here, and I hope to impart some ideas that I might have about how best to move the city forward.
Hello, my name is Matthew Longst. I am the youngest candidate on the ballot. However, my family has been here for the longest. We have been here since the 1800s. And so we moved here when it was the village of Saline. And so we have a lot of history with the community. And I'm running because I'm currently living with my grandparents. And it is a struggle to, the cost of living keeps going up for so many people in my generation and for the seniors that we have in this community, being priced out of the place they called home for years. And I know that's a real struggle that I've been facing right now, trying to find a way to make the income to live here. And if I don't find a way and I don't have a say in the direction that the city is going, our family will be forced to leave because we won't be making the income you have to afford to live here. So that's my main drive in wanting to move here, and my grandparents are just coming in now.
Hi, I'm Miri Widener, and I am a data analyst. I've lived in Saline for around 10 years now, and we first moved to Saline, and we were looking all around the area of Washtenaw County and just fell in love with Saline because it's a very charming community, as Jim and Jen have said. I am running because I've noticed a lot of people have said to me, we didn't know what was going on in our community until something was being built, something was being changed. And to me, we could improve on the communication with the city and the residents. And that is mainly why I'm running. And I want to make sure that everyone is aware of what's going on so they can be able to have input. And you might have seen me around Saline at volunteering at festivals, events. And I just love volunteering. I love rescuing animals, and I love the environment and wildlife. So I'm also on the Parks Commission. So that's all about me. Thank you.
Hey, y'all, I gotta stand up. Where I'm from, you don't greet people sitting down. So I'm Tremaine Halsh. I am not from Michigan. I'm actually was born and raised in North Carolina, Winston-Salem to be exact. And I like to say that I'm a Southerner by birth, but a Michigander by choice. So the reason that I'm running for city council and what I hope you guys get to leave, guys and girls, get to leave here tonight is a plan for building tomorrow's Saline today. I believe that the Saline that we want to see in 20, 30 years, it starts today. And so I think we do that by being smarter, safer, more sustainable. And so I, first of all, want to thank the League of Women Voters and the library for this opportunity. I want to also thank everyone who showed up. It's beautiful to see democracy in action. And so I hope that y'all leave tonight with a preferred candidate or just a little bit more informed. Thank y'all.
Great, thank you, candidates. So now to the questions, and the first question Jen will be the first response for this one. And the question is around knowledge of the position. What are the primary roles and responsibilities of a Saline council member, and what do you consider to be the highest priority?
That's a really good question. So, the priorities of being a city council person, one is to listen to the folks that are in the community, and number two is to understand all the facts and the data behind the decision or the vote. And that is always a challenge. That's one of the things that I find the most difficult, is to make sure that we're asking the right questions. And so part of being a good city council person, you only get the answers you get are only as good as the questions you ask, and I think it's really important as a city council person to ask the right questions. In addition to that, the budget and where the budget is being spent. So making sure that the expenditures of the budget are benefiting the folks in the community, the most folks in the community, and making sure that we're really purposeful about our expenditures from a strategic expenditure standpoint. We have a lot of aging infrastructure in the city, and it's important to know the priorities with the infrastructure in the right fix at the right time. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Matt is next.
So definitely echoing off of what Jen was saying, definitely listening to your community is the most important thing. You are elected to represent the citizens of the city, and that is your first and foremost must be a humble representative of their will. And with saying that, you also want to make sure that you are doing what's in the best interest of the community as well. So there have been a lot of things that have gone on. I'm sure a lot of people here have seen what has gone on, and it makes it look as though our city is being sold for profit rather than what is best for the community. And those are the things that we have to be looking at in every single vote that we take, is not what is best for profit's sake, but what is best for community building and representing the people of the city so they can continue to live and thrive and not just be sort of sold out for higher prices.
Same question to you, Brett.
I mean, I'm probably going to echo what everybody else is going to say. It's about representation, right? It's about listening, about paying attention to what the community wants, but also about, you're going into it with your own ideas, your own preconceived notions about how things should run, how things should be. So I think it's really important to be open-minded, and you want to be in the community, right? You want to have an open ear. But I also think that, it's really important to have strong opinions in the first place. Strongly held opinions that you're comfortable changing. And so I think a big part of that is that, but also just knowing what is going on with the infrastructure, what's going on in the community, what are the issues, how do you feel about those issues, how does the community feel about those issues, you know, yeah.
Mary, your turn.
I echoing what Jen mentioned about data, of course. Sorry. A little bit closer. Okay. So in addition to just making sure you have all the correct data and studies in front of you when you're making decisions, I would like to highlight that we should be transparent and make sure we have a paper trail of everything we do so people can hold us accountable for the decisions that we make, and that we're making them with the communication of all the residents in mind. So we have open avenues to communicate, town halls, email, just being available, not just up behind a desk so people can't communicate with us. We're supposed to be representatives, so we should be representing the people and what they think. And also making sure we focus on the budget and having everything financial kept track of, and as well as making sure to delegate which of the priorities that the community wants us to focus on first and foremost. Thank you.
Now to Jim.
I certainly share the feelings echoed by my other candidates that we need to focus primarily on taking direction from all of you. The community is electing us to this office to be a voice for them and what they feel is in the best interest of the community. What I think hasn't been discussed is the challenge of whether or not all of you agree on those things. You can't make everyone happy. So there's going to be a lot of opposing views. Some people will want a certain outcome, or others will want completely the opposite. And your job as a council member, in addition to taking in the input from the community, is to come to every council meeting prepared to make an informed and educated decision. And in order to do that, you have to show up having prepared for the meeting, having read the packet, having understood the material, and having reached out to experts and consultants and people that know more about those things than you do, and don't assume to make a decision based on the popular opinion in the room. You have to be courageous. You have to be willing to vote no if you think you haven't been given enough information to make those informed and educated decisions, and you have to do your homework. Also, time management. You're expected to serve on many boards and commissions, and that divides your time very thin, and some of us have full-time jobs, and we're doing this in our spare time in service to you.
And finally, Tremaine.
Hey.
Get really close. Oh, did it turn off?
Did it turn off? There we go. Sorry about that. So I actually wrote down, as everyone was answering, I wrote down the org chart. And when you think about the city of Saline, you have to think about our org chart. And at the top of that org chart is our citizens. It's our citizens, then it's our council, our mayor, and city manager. And so I believe that my first duty as a city council person is to create a Saline where everybody can thrive professionally, financially, spiritually, physically. And I think that in order to do that in a way that is going to do the most good for the most people with the least burden in our city, we're first going to have to start listening, and not listening for the sake of making people feel good. I think we need to start listening to take action. I think that, I hear often on city council, you hear the word data all the time. And, I've been here 5 years, and we've collected a whole lot of data, but not a whole lot has changed. So like I said, my duty is to make sure that physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, every person in this city has the ability to thrive and can see themselves thriving here.
Thank you. And the question number 2, and actually Tremaine, you will be, you'll start.
There we go.
So question number 2 is around fiscal decisions in Saline, such as the river dam. This is the question. The City Council must soon decide the future of the Saline River Dam, which costs estimated between $1.5 million for repairs and $8 million for full replacement. What principles guide your thinking about taking on large, long-term obligations for the city, especially when costs could extend for decades beyond your council term? So again, we'll start with you, Tremaine.
Yeah. So number one, as it relates to the dam, I understand the dollars and cents of it. I think everyone at this point has probably heard and seen those numbers. For me, the decision actually comes down to the biology and the ecological impact that the dam has versus taking it out. And I think that kind of speaks to how I would ultimately look at fiscal decisions, especially in the long term. It's you, everyone in this room first. I think that any purchase that we plan to make over $500,000 should be put before our city. I don't think that our job as council people is to have a blank check to do what we want with the general fund. We were elected to represent, and I think that means representing the interests of people fiscally. That means making sure that budgets reflect what the people want to see in this city, what's important to the people in this city. And so my path to fiscal responsibility is to listen to the people that are paying the bills.
And we're actually going to bring it all the way back to Brett.
Well, I think that, as it relates to the dam, that's a greater decision than fiscal, as I think Tremaine pointed out. It's ecological. I do think that there is a fiscal decision that's coming down the pike right now, and that is the Curtis Mansion. I think, you look at the Curtis Mansion purchase, and that's going to be something that potentially we're saddled with for generations. And while I like the idea of, having the Curtis Mansion on its face, I also think that there are some real problems with how we're going about that right now. It doesn't seem as though there's a plan for how we're going to afford to pay for the Curtis Mansion going forward. I worry about, seeing a similar situation to the Rec Center, in which we end up, taxes go up, we end up paying for this thing, a lot of people aren't using it, it's a vacant lot, whatever we end up doing with it. So I think that making fiscal decisions that have a plan that backs them, that says, hey, we're going to be able to pay for this, that's how I would be a council member.
The same question to you, Matt.
This is definitely something that I've sort of been pointing at about profitability. And the way our city has been set up is we have a lot of city representatives that are talking about, I'm not talking about council members that are elected, I'm talking about people that are hired to do the job. They talk about they want to be proactive and not reactive, but how a lot of these systems have been set up is it's definitely a lot more reactionary instead of proactive. They let the dam go too long, and that's why now we have to put so much up front. Same with the rec center, same with so many other of our infrastructure and assets that we own. So these are why we are now in the situation that we are in, where we now have to put so much up front just for them to get on par with our other municipalities that are around us, that we have to sort of pick and choose which ones are, worth trying to put the money into. As it relates to the dam, for me it comes down to two things: the ecological impact and the economic impact. The Spicer report is definitely skewed in one direction, and it was based on the sort of hope that we would get state funding to take it out. But the issue with that is I believe that it's about 46 to 49% of Michigan state budget is from the federal government. And a lot of that's going to be cut. So do we think that we're going to get the state funding to take that out? If not, the residents are going to have to burden that cost of taking it out. So those are the things that we have to sort of revisit. and we have to come to a determination of if it's worth putting all that up front and what assets will be taken away from it. But so, thank you.
Now to Miri.
All right, so as far as the dam, there is a lot that is involved data-wise that I question. We had the same group analyze it in 2021, and they came back with a completely different number that was much lower in the 6 digits instead of the 7 digits, and there wasn't a reason behind why that large of a change occurred. And then it was compared with the removal, which would be really a lot of money up front, which again, as Matt had mentioned, the grants that they thought that they would get are not there. They might not be there for quite a while. They might not come back. So all of that would fall back onto the people of the city who, some of us are on fixed income, some of us don't have additional money to put in to raise taxes. I do believe that the dam should be redesignated as a recreational usage. Most dams in Michigan, 70%, upwards of 70% of dams are cited as recreational. And that allows people to come and enjoy our Mill Pond Park. They enjoy the area. I mean, we're kind of the envy of counties around us that we have this park that has water that people can just get out of their car and go right up to. But anyways, yes, thank you.
Jen?
So the dam, it's a very passionate topic for a lot of folks in this community, and it is really important that we make the decisions or we present the opportunity for recommendation based on facts, all the facts. And just by hearing the numbers that you touted, I don't believe that those are the actual numbers. One of the things that we don't have the numbers on is the actual cost of rehabilitation once the dam is removed. So looking at the dam, you've got a mill pond that we have no swimming, no boating, no fishing, and really not a lot of access to. And then, there's benefits on both sides. So I think the most important thing is, regardless of what the recommendation is, it's based on all the details and data, and that maybe it is offered up to vote for the community based on all of the facts.
Okay, Jim, closing out the question.
Yeah, I'm aware that the dam is a hot button issue in the community, and I want everyone to understand the reason it's been discussed for the last 3 years, maybe more, is because there is some change in the state regulatory bodies and what needs to happen with the dam in order for us to be compliant with what they're asking us to do to make it safe. There's arguments in both in favor of removing the dam, and there are several other arguments in favor of keeping it. But we all have to remember is that if we choose to invest in keeping the dam, we have to be prepared to make the decision with the entire community as a whole. I feel the onus is on the city to present the community with options if we're going to remove the dam, to make it palatable for the city, to make it exciting for the city, to bring a creative idea to make the park better. So far, I have not seen that come from the city. I have not seen a proposal that gets people energized and excited about removing the dam. Moreover, if the grant funding isn't there to rehabilitate the park, if the dam is to be removed, then we will have ruined one of the crowning features of our community, which is Mill Pond. So there needs to be much more data accumulated on this. There's a discussion on October 6th at the next council meeting. I would encourage all of you to come and learn as much as you can about both sides of this issue. So far, we've only been given so much information, and there's so much more to learn.
Thank you. Question 3, and we'll start with Miri for this one. Question 3 is around the topic of water quality. The topic of water quality often arises in Saline. In August 2025, the city's main water source, well number 5, failed after years of declining performance and was subsequently repaired. It was later revealed that the well had not been inspected in 5 to 6 years, despite professional recommendations for annual inspections. What steps should City Council take to ensure critical infrastructure like Saline's water mains and water wells, are inspected and maintained along with appropriate level of investment?
All right, so this is something that I quite often bring up at city council meetings, but so I am for maintenance and accountability for that maintenance, and we need to be as aware of our water mains and our system below the ground as we are of the roads above it. And we need to make sure that we go back and check those areas. If people are having issues, we need to investigate. We need to have people out there and in the field and actually looking at the issues that are happening. Now, I do know that they have had a lot of, I just was on a tour with the city to look at the water treatment plant, and they will have a lot of updates. They'll probably be complete sometime in 2026. The timeline may be a little bit off because they had a few delays, but they are also working on lining the inside of mains and pipes around the city. So all these updates need to be done everywhere. We need to make sure that we're actually keeping up with maintenance and not just putting it off, doing a study on it, and then saying, oh, well, that's interesting, and then not following up. So that's just what I think on that. Thank you.
Tremaine?
Yeah, so for me, this is a pretty straightforward for me. Clean water shouldn't be a privilege. We pay far too much in taxes. We have people who have served on council and who have been taking a look at these issues for years. And at this point, I'd be a lot more pissed off. I'm fortunate that I live somewhere where I haven't experienced a lot of the brown water. But if we weren't okay with Flint and the issues in Flint, then we shouldn't be okay with the issues happening here in Saline. And so for me, I think we need to start asking a lot more tougher questions of our water commissioner. We need to start asking tougher questions of the company that we've contracted out to hire our wastewater plant. I don't have brown water, but I get the smell. I live right in front of the wastewater treatment plant, and I remember actually putting our house on the market, and 4 buyers said absolutely not because of that smell. So for me, water, again, clean water should not be a privilege. We pay way too much in taxes. Again, we have way too much data for this to still be a problem. And so whether I'm on council or not, something's got to be done.
Next is Matthew.
Yeah, so I mean, this is not just the wastewater treatment issue. I mean, as you heard from Miri, that they are addressing it, and hopefully it gets completed. We all know that city timelines can routinely and most likely change. However, the broader issue that we have to talk about is routine maintenance on not just the water treatment plant, but on all of our city assets, because like I said in my previous question, that the city is set up to be reactionary and not proactive on updating these facilities. So those are the main issues that we have to address, is just making sure that we have routine maintenance instead of having to wait until something breaks and then we have to put all these upfront costs in trying to fix it. A great example that I have other than the wastewater treatment plant is the rec center. I saw on social media that the Saline High School just got a brand new weight room. It's like a 5-star gym that you'd pay $100 a month in membership fees to attend, yet the rec center it's like it's straight out of 1950s. So these are the things that we have to address, like why are we pouring all that money into the school so that just the school kids can use it when we could also have the rec center updated and routine maintenance so that the entire community can benefit from those assets. So those are a lot of the things that I want to address.
Same question to Jen.
So I too felt the same frustration about the water. I live on Monroe Street and the wastewater treatment plant is right there, and I bought my house and then smelled. That's what got me involved with city council. What we're doing on city, I've also been frustrated. So what we've done with on city council for the city is that we've moved to a GIS system. So we started mapping using a data system to map all of our horizontal assets. So those are the assets that are below the ground, including stuff like the wells, the mains, and to have a more proactive and predictive type of approach to maintenance for these assets. So that is the direction that we're moving in, and we're still in the process of gathering the data for the mapping. That's going to have a big impact to predicting when we're going to need to, when repairs are coming as opposed to being reactionary. So that's a big step with that. With regards to water, water should not be, as Tremaine mentioned, it's not a privilege, it's a way of life, it's a quality of life feature, and that's a bare minimum that we should provide the residents for Saline. Thank you.
Brett?
So, we got, what was that, a few weeks ago, we got we had a presentation presented to City Council from the city engineer and the DPW director, I think, if I remember correctly. And it was about city assets, it was about this exact thing. And it's clear that we're on the right path now. It's very clear that in the past, we've not been on the right path. We have the right people in the right jobs now. And so I feel pretty confident about that, but if problems continue to arise that are preventable, obviously I think as a council person we need to put pressure on ourselves, put pressure on the people who are supposed to be doing those jobs. So, yeah.
And finally, Jim.
First off, I don't want to stand up here and denigrate the hard work of DPW and our city staff and our folks that run the water treatment plant and the wastewater treatment plant. They work very hard, and they do want what's best for the community. During my tenure on council, I had the opportunity to serve on the risk mitigation task force, and a number of these risks were identified in our plan moving forward. The fact that the inspections on the wells were missed for 5 years, I don't have an answer for that. I wish I did. I don't know why that happened. But I think as council members, we need to work through the city manager to hold our department heads accountable to ensure that those inspections are conducted in a timely manner when needed. In this particular instance, we were in the process of rebuilding one of our wells. There were some delays in getting that well installed, and during the process of it being delayed, another well went down, which is why we all got the notices about having to conserve water and be mindful of our resources there. We are working hard to solve the groundwater issue, and I think, as Jen mentioned, that GIS is going to be helpful and instrumental in helping us better understand how to do the flushing to remove the iron sediment from the existing infrastructure so you don't see that discoloration. I don't believe it's an issue of water safety.
Thank you. Our next question and Jim, will start with you on this one. And it is around the topic of the Saline Rec Center. The Saline Rec Center has faced rising costs and urgent repair needs, including a major HVAC failure in 2025 that required over $90,000 in emergency spending. A city task force has been charged with recommending options for the facility's long-term future, with a report due in October 2025. What role should the Rec Center play in Saline's future, and how should the city plan for its long-term sustainability?
Thank you for the question. I know a lot of you are interested in this. The Rec Center Task Force met in council chambers this afternoon. I had an opportunity to tour the Rec Center today, and I'm going to be very candid with you folks. The current trajectory and the way we fund the Rec Center is not sustainable unless we can figure out a way to establish meaningful partnerships with either the townships, surrounding townships that use the Rec Center, or the school system, the school district. We will not be able to keep the Rec Center open, and that's just the cold hard facts. We're all scrambling to figure out a way to make those partnerships come to fruition and make that a reality. But the fact that we just had to spend $1 million on an HVAC system to remove the humidity from the Rec Center, and the budget predictions that I'm seeing, and to maintain the Rec Center, just to keep it as status quo, is going to require about $1.5 million a year. The general fund cannot support that. We need regionalization and some kind of arrangement with the schools or the surrounding townships. Only 38% of the city of Saline have memberships, at the rec center, and the other 60% are coming from the surrounding townships, and they should be subsidizing that as well.
Same question to Jen.
We need to have a path forward for the rec center to be solvent. And right now, that is not the case, and I'm hoping to hear something different in October. However, I think, hearing what Jim said, it's going to require some sort of partnership. It's going to require some sort of plan, because right now it's not sustainable from an economical standpoint. I am kind of curious, though. A show of hands, who all attends the rec center? Who all is a member of the rec center? Okay. Yeah, so that's about reflective of what we're hearing. So it's really important, again, for everybody, for the taxes and how we're spending our taxes that benefit the most people in the community. And there are options out there. There's other communities with rec centers that are viable. So there is an option, but for the way it's currently being, it is not sustainable. So hopefully, again, in October, we're going to hear a path forward from the subcommittee and have all the facts in order to make a good informed decision for recommendation.
Tremaine?
Yes. Okay, I got excited for this question because I actually sit on that task force. So the first thing that I want to point out is I don't believe in putting kindling on a fire, lighting a match, and then getting mad at the smoke. And I say that because every single budget that got passed that has put us in the hole, everybody on council saw it and voted for it. So at some point, I think the first thing that needs to happen is accountability. How did we get here? You can name deferred maintenance. You could name budgets. There are a litany of reasons of why we got here. And so for me, as a member of that task force, I've actually submitted a plan that reimagines the rec center. And it's no longer a rec center, it's a community wellness center. I think that the heart of our city runs through that rec center. It is the only place where people of multiple generations are able to come together. There are people who literally have to get in our pool and walk because they've been just prescribed by a doctor to do so. There has been a lot of talk, there has been a lot of plans, a lot of studies on the rec center, and honestly, we need people to start taking accountability and passing budgets for the rec center that make sense.
Next is Matt.
Yes, I know a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about the rec center, but coming from somebody that has lived in this community for a very long time, when I was a child, I would go there and it was such a fun and pleasurable time. And you can enjoy it with however many people go there, all different generations can go and enjoy that type of space. And I've also been elsewhere in the country coming from communities that don't have those types of spaces, how much you miss it once you lose it. So it's definitely something that we want to keep, even though a lot of people have thought that if it cannot sustain itself, then why keep it? It's something that you don't understand once you lose it, what you lost. So we definitely want to figure out the best way forward to fund it properly and make sure that it gets its routine maintenance, as well as bring it up to par with the other rec centers that are around the community, so that we are not sort of competing for memberships. But then we also want to make sure that the other surrounding community people that enjoy the rec center but don't pay into it, at least as much as to the extent as the Saline City residents do, that they are also accountable for the maintenance costs and upkeep of it as well.
Mary?
All right, so the Saline Rec Center, right now we share a budget of parks with the rec center, and it's two different models, and you can see it reflected in our parks where they're not getting the proper maintenance. So one of the things about the Saline Rec Center is we actually have that land because of Pittsfield Township. We have an agreement with them. It's 50 years. They get the same rates as the city of Saline residents for their memberships. So you know, I had this idea, or I spoke about it with someone recently. What if there was a rec center authority and we had a millage behind it, similar to how we use with schools, where we could share, I know it's probably not been done before between two different township and Saline City, but if we shared the millage with Pittsfield Township, we could have the funding for the rec center, and it would be sustainable by itself. The parks would get its budget back. I'm not sure why they ever were combined, because it's a lot and it's two different forms of earning income and taking out of the budget. So if we had a rec center authority between Pittsfield and Saline City, it would be fundable and we could do those improvements, and it's a really good resource for the community, so I would hate to see it go away.
Okay, Brett, for the final answer.
So I am lucky enough to have a friend inside in Tremaine, and so I've been lucky enough to read and see his plan, and I think it's a stellar plan. I think it's a great plan. I think I hope that we adopt that plan going forward. Absent of that, I think some community partnership sounds great. Privatization, if nothing else. Worst comes to worst and we have to tear it down, that would be a shame if we can't figure it out. But I think that we have to at least accept that as a possibility.
Okay, we are going to go to our next question. This is question 5, so it's our final question before we'll take some of the audience questions as well. So, and we'll start with Matt for this one. And this is around your view of the future, your future vision with Saline. Saline is experiencing steady development pressures, from proposals to new industrial uses such as data centers in nearby townships to higher density housing within the city. At the same time, many residents value Saline's small town character and want to see it preserved. Over the next 10 to 15 years, what is your vision for Saline's future character, and what types of development or policies would you support to achieve it?
I definitely want to keep Saline's character as a small town feel with larger municipalities surrounding it, such as Ypsilanti and Ann Arbor. The way that I would go about achieving that is definitely trying to rethink zoning. And what I said at the very beginning is that our community should be about the community and not about profits. We want to obviously bring development and investment into our city, but we don't want that to come at the expense of quality of life. So those are the ways that I go about every decision that I make. Being here as long as my family has, I've seen how the city has changed in good and bad ways. So it's something that we definitely want to look at how we can maintain that feel for the future. But I will be completely honest, is that Saline is landlocked. There is not much more development that can go out, especially as we have just acquired, we have annexed part of Lodi Township for this new development that's going out on Saline and Arbor Road. And that's basically the last developable part of Saline outside of annexing more land from the townships. So there's really not much more that can be developed. But especially going forward, we want to think about how we can be more community-based and how we can think about how the city can be livable and not just profitable.
Mary, your response.
So the future of Saline, I really hope that we invest a lot in keeping that small hometown feel while we grow and while we put in new neighborhoods. I know everyone loves getting new neighbors, but if we could match the aesthetics and just make sure we're being responsible with asking the surrounding neighborhoods of just communicating with the city on what they would like to see. One of the issues I see pop up frequently is safety and traffic. I don't think we put enough thought into how our sidewalks are and making sure everything is accessible and making sure everyone can walk around Saline safely. I would like to see us trying to do a better job at maintaining our environment and just making sure the the lands we have with the parks remain full of nature, accessible for all the citizens. And I would like to see eventually housing that's affordable and not just market value, because I do think that as we expand, I wouldn't want anyone to get priced out of the area just because a lot of our residents are on fixed income, and that's just a reality of the time too, as well as we can't afford increasing budgets. So, thank you.
Same question to you, Jim.
Yes, we all have come to love and appreciate the community that we live in, and we want to preserve it as much as possible. And the good news is that the community within the Saline boundaries, for the most part, the infill is mostly usurped. We don't really have much land left to develop within the borders. That being said, if you look at the city's master plan, there's a 5-year plan designated for acquiring and annexing land from what's called UDAs, or undeveloped areas, to expand the residential growth of the community. That becomes necessary because, as you all felt the hit in your water utility bills, bonding the rehabilitation of the wastewater treatment plant to the tune of $70 to $80 million required us to borrow that money through a state revolving fund, and we have to maintain that debt through ratepayers. And the only way to manage those costs is to add more ratepayers to the system. I think we need to put the focus on economic development and industrial growth and less on residential growth, because frankly, the residential growth doesn't really put that big of a dent in offsetting those costs. We need to attract more businesses to the industrial park, some of which is vacant now. And that means economic development growth needs to be a priority moving forward, in addition to land annexation to the west.
Jen, your turn.
Quality of life and affordable housing. You can't have a conversation about affordable housing. It's not just about the cost of the housing, but it's also about the cost of living as it pertains to utilities. And as was mentioned, $80 million wastewater treatment plant bill is going to, it's going to impact our utility bills. So what's important that Saline continues to do is purposeful development. And we need to make sure when we enter into agreements with developers that they are supporting our, they're supporting our strategic plan with regards to purposeful growth and supporting our infrastructure needs to help offset the rest of the residents. And as was also mentioned, we have some opportunity with regards to the zoning in our industrial area. So with all of those things, we want to try to keep the utilities from impacting the residents as much as the trajectory is looking like.
Now to Tremaine.
So when I think about the future of Saline, I think the 3 words I wrote down here were exciting. I think I'm very excited about the future of this city. I think the future of Saline is very bright. But I also wrote down the word today. I think the biggest issue that we are facing towards our future is that I feel like we're insistent upon staying on a rocking horse. We move a whole lot, we do a lot of plans, we do a lot of studying, but I like racehorses, and I'm ready for this city to get off the rocking horse. And I think that when we think about growth, when we think about how do we develop this city, I think we do it by developing the people. I would love to see Saline become the leader in the number of micro businesses in Washtenaw County. I would love to see Saline lead in the number of alumni who come back and start families here. I would love to see Saline be a city where small businesses feel like they can start, they can scale, they can thrive. And so for me, I want to see our future be an investment in our people. People who've been here, people who will come, people who are here, because regardless of what our future looks like, we got to do it together.
Okay, and finally, Brett.
So, I mean, I feel like I'm going to be like just echo everything that everybody just said. But, you know, I think it would be hard to lose Saline's small town charm. We don't really have a whole lot of development that we could do. We don't have a lot of space for it. I think that the space we do have for it, I would love to see more affordability, more multi-family units. I think that, you know, obviously affordability is an issue everywhere, but in Washtenaw County it seems like it's a particular issue, and so I would like to see more multi-family units. I'd like to see the growth of Saline and downtown. I would love to see, you know, I think we have like 60-ish% capacity right now downtown. I'd love to see that expand. I think that we have a beautiful, amazing downtown, and I think there are a lot of exciting things that could happen there. And yeah, I look forward to the future of Saline.
Thank you. You can keep the mic. I'll start with you. So we will move to some audience questions. So thank you for the great questions. We got many on the dam. So we've already covered that. And the other one that we got many questions on is related to the Curtis Mansion. So we will ask that question. So the question is, what is your position on the purchase of the Curtis Mansion?
Whew. All right. Well, I already kind of said that, but I'll kind of elaborate on that. So I like the idea of the purchase of the Curtis Mansion. When it was announced, I was really excited about it. I think there's a lot of interesting things that could happen with that space. If I were to vote on it, if I were sitting on council right now and I were to vote on whether or not to purchase it, I don't think a plan has been provided that really tells us how we're going to pay for it long term. And I don't know that, you know, some of the things that have been said, a wedding venue, you know, a museum, I don't see how that provides $300,000 in maintenance a year and, you know, pays for a $3 million piece of property. So personally, it's really hard because I love that space, but honestly, I feel quite a bit of opposition to the actual purchase if it were to happen today. With that said, I also think that a purchase so large shouldn't be decided by you know, 6 people and the mayor. I think it should be decided by you guys. I think you guys should have some input on that. So that's my position.
Okay, Jen, your response.
When I first was relocated for my job and I was looking for a place to live, Saline was at the top of my list because of the schools. My son's at Saline Hornet, and the historic beauty of the town. And when I was coming in to look at a couple houses, I drove right by the Curtis Mansion. I was just, that kind of set the pace for me about the beauty of this town. Also, I have been on record as saying that I will only support this purchase if it doesn't hit the bottom line of the general funds. So having bought and sold 3 different houses, I'm a homeowner here in Saline. I have never lost money on a house. This house has been comped out by Sotheby's, and regardless of what we choose to do with it, it is important that it stays historic and that it isn't taken over by a developer that wants to tear it down. So that the house is not currently part of a historic district, and it's really important that it is protected as a historic home, as a cornerstone of the beauty of this town.
Now to Jim.
While we are early in the stages of negotiations with the current owners and understanding what it means to acquire that property, there's still a lot of information that we don't have. And I know the city is looking into ways to make that a revenue generating asset for the city. And perhaps it wouldn't be a long-term ownership. There could be an opportunity to leverage relationships with private partnerships where we preserve the mansion without placing the burden on the taxpayers. And by that I mean placing deed restrictions on the property moving forward to what can and cannot be done. I want you all to think long and hard about what it would feel like to this community if that was leveled over and condos were put in its place, and what a travesty that would be if we had lost that. I certainly don't want it to be a burden on the taxpayers because there's so many more important things we need to funnel resources into with regard to infrastructure and providing city services. At the same time, I want to do everything I can to preserve that historic aspect of our community, and I want to explore any and all options to make that a revenue generating function that may not be in the city's hands long term, but would stand in perpetuity for years to come.
Matt, thanks.
Yes, I mean, definitely echoing a lot of what my other candidates said. We definitely want to look at every aspect of what it means to acquire that asset. And I mean, it sort of all comes down to that we have to get our own house in order before acquiring more things to deal with. The city has, we've seen how it has handled its other assets that it has, so acquiring another in the hopes that they will maintain it properly, I'm not so sure, but we also don't want to hand it over to the highest bidder and just hope that they preserve it for the best interest of the community. So we definitely want to look at every single avenue and every single sort of path that we have to determine exactly what the best path forward would be for that piece of property in the historical home. It is definitely one of the most beautiful homes that I have ever seen. Traveling going around the country, it's definitely one of the most beautiful homes that I've seen, and it would be a travesty if it was bought by somebody and then they just level it. So definitely want to make sure that we are able to keep it, but make sure that it doesn't place a burden on the people of this community.
So, as far as the purchase of Curtis Mansion, as I'm sure they're doing their due diligence right now, making sure the foundation is good, making sure if we do invest in it, it's not going to burden us with structural issues around the area. I do think that along with the dam, that the people should be voting on these big city purchases because, I mean, it's going to be reflected in our bills. So honestly, it does feel a little bit weird to make a decision that will burden the community so much without consulting them first. As far as making the purchase of $3 million, even if we turn it into some sort of venue for weddings or people to hold parties, it won't make that $3 million back. It'll probably just keep the lights on for Curtis Mansion and just making sure they can continue using it as a community resource. As far as development, I would hate to see it developed in that way. However, we need to make sure that we manage our assets well and that we don't burden taxpayers. And really, we need to take care of the people first and then invest in the things around us. Thank you.
I remember when I was a kid and we would be out and my mom, she'd gone shopping or whatever, and my favorite question was, hey, can we go to McDonald's? And their response, if you know it, was, do you got McDonald's money? Okay, we don't have McDonald's money. Okay, our water is still brown. We still haven't gotten solid answers on our waste treatment plant and the plan for that. To me, there are too many need to haves to be considering a nice to have. Yes, I completely understand the once in a lifetime opportunity we have in purchasing this mansion. I completely understand how beautiful it is and how much it adds to the character and the historical nature of this city. It's been there for a while, and we knew that this opportunity may come up. And so I kind of think that if we lose it, it's a result of our decision making. I can't sit here and say that as a council person, if I had to vote today to vote for the purchase of that mansion, I wouldn't. Because like I said, there are way too many need to haves that need to be fixed before we start thinking about nice to haves.
So the next question, it's going to force you to rank choice some things, so you may want to take some notes. So this question is asking you to rank order your priorities from 1 to 5. 1 is clear tap water, filling vacant storefronts, saving the rec center, Curtis Mansion acquisition or decision, and then removing dam to restore the environment, or removing dam to restore the environment.
Can you repeat those?
Again?
Yes.
Yeah. We love this question. We like those. So your rank choice your priorities from 1 to 5. Clear tap water, filling vacant storefronts, saving the rec center, Curtis Mansion acquisition, and removing dam to restore the environment. So we've got a lot of questions. Is there somebody that'd like to start?
I could.
Okay, you got the mic. Gary.
Since I'm holding it. So, first and foremost, I was going to school in Flint when the crisis with the water happened. Automatically, clear tap water always goes to the first whenever I'm looking at anything. So next, I'd like to just say that filling our storefronts to make sure Main Street is healthy, and making sure that we're actually having something to bring people into downtown, and that helps us as a city to keep our businesses lively and have them stay in the area. Removing the dam, I'm not sure if it was meant to be like removing the dam or rehabilitating the dam, but removing the dam right away, up front, that would be millions of dollars. I think rehabilitation for the dam would probably be less costly for the taxpayers, especially during these times. I just think that removing the dam to save the environment too, it's questionable because we have 200 years of established environment that we would be removing. So it's just, there's a question there if it would be good for the species that are traversing through that area. And then Curtis House, again, I just mentioned that. We really have to establish what's important for that. And then saving the rec center, I do think a rec authority probably would be our best avenue. We're pairing up with other townships just to make sure we have the money. So which way do I pass this?
I can go.
Okay, cool.
This is candidate's choice round, so
okay.
you go.
So I'll start. Number 1, I think pretty clear is water. It's a right, not a privilege. Number 2, I would say the rec center, because I think the rec center is a microcosm of a lot of our decision making as a city. You have aging infrastructure, you have deferred maintenance, you have rising costs, you have leadership issues, you have governance issues, and when we think about our city, it's a lot of those same things. So I think if we can start figuring out how we deal with that, we can start figuring out how we deal with the city as a whole. After that, it's our storefronts. Our city thrives when, small businesses are strong. Our city thrives when people know that there are places to go. There are things open after 10, 11 o'clock. And so getting our storefronts filled is only gonna make a lot of these other priorities that much easier, from the tax revenue and the economic benefits that provides. Removing the dam, again, I don't think it's pressing. I don't think a decision on the dam is pressing. It's been in terrible condition. It's probably going to stay in terrible condition, and so I don't think of it as a top priority right now. And then finally, the Curtis Mansion. Again, it's a nice to have. It's a beautiful, gorgeous nice to have, but it's also a $3 million nice to have plus maintenance. So that would be my list.
I guess I can go. So number 1, I have water. That's a sort of given. If anybody has anything other than that as their number 1, it's a little strange. So the number two, I have business growth, because that not only will bring income in from outside, but it will also give the city more income to spend on the things that they should have been spending it on. So that's definitely number two for me, is making sure that Saline is a place that businesses can grow and thrive. Too many businesses, including some major businesses throughout the years have closed. I mean, ABC Technologies, which was in our what's it called, like the resource park, laid off over like 160 employees, and that was a major drive in our sort of assets declining, was because we are losing a lot of this business growth and development. Number two would be addressing the dam, not necessarily removing it, but just addressing it in terms of what the best case and action would be for it.
Number three.
Yes, number three. So number three would be the dam, just addressing it. Depending on if we are going to take it out or keep it will all depend on how much that would cost. Next, number four would be the Curtis Mansion. I love it. It's right in the center, in the heart of downtown, so we definitely want to make sure that we continue to have that beauty-centric focus on the thing that drives people to move here. Like Jen said, that she saw that and she was like, this is like the place that I want to be. And last, even though I love it, the Rec Center, because there's other places around that have those types of facilities that people can use. So.
Number one's going to be the same as everybody else. So of course, we all want and deserve clear tap water. I personally feel that this is the number one priority and potentially the easiest one to go after. I remain unconvinced that the problem that we're experiencing with brown sediment in our tap water is a function of deteriorating and eroding infrastructure. I feel more strongly that it's a procedural problem. This didn't used to be a problem in the city of Saline, and there have been some procedural aspects about how we go about flushing, whether it's bidirectional, unidirectional, and the velocity of water moving through that system that has the energy to displace the brown sediment in the water and the tuberculation in the tubes. So if we can get the right minds on the problem and restore an understanding of where these valves are, which ones to turn on, which ones to turn off, and what order to do it to achieve a bidirectional flow and move that water out of the pipes, we're going to be better off. I've used up so much of my time on that because it's the most important. Filling vacant storefronts is my next. Economic vitality is a key to moving the city forward. Finding alternative funding mechanisms for the rec center long term to make it a sustainable asset in the community would be number three. Removing or not removing the dam, fully understanding that problem and developing a consensus moving forward. And finally, Curtis Mansion.
I'm going to answer this a little bit differently. Of course, clean water. I used to be a grassroots lobbyist for Clean Water Action. I'm a big supporter of clean water. It's very important. It's also, on the same note, it's very important for us to protect the source of our clean water, including the watershed and anything that would cause threat to that. Secondly, as some of you may know, I was on the Social Gathering Space Subcommittee, and it's very important for us to have a vibrant downtown and have a vibrant place to gather. I created a process so that we could come up with the correct option and identify the criteria for the social gathering space and make sure that we were judging it accurately and made a recommendation. So I believe in a build it, they will come. If we have a vibrant downtown, that will just drive more businesses to want to join our downtown. Third, I'm going to say the dam, in the same comment that was mentioned, is we need to have all the facts and to make the decision to remove or to keep based on all of the facts. And then, of course, you know, I was real clear on my position on the Curtis Mansion as well as the Rec Center. Both of these items, they need to be solvent, and we need to have those not hit our general funds and the taxpayers. Thank you.
Brett. Great.
So my first one is, like everybody else's, clean water. And then, filling storefronts, the industrial spaces, I think, but especially the storefronts downtown, when you have businesses, when you have all the storefronts filled downtown and everything looks great, people feel good about the city that they live in. People feel like their city's thriving. And when people feel good, they spend money, and there's economic benefits to that. Definitely removing the dam would be 3 for me. I would go as far as to say I hope for and look forward to a day when we call Mill Pond the Saline River. And the rec center, I think that's important. The rec center and Curtis Mansion, I think, kind of have some links there. I think the rec center kind of, for me, it looks like it has the potential to be a warning sign for the Curtis Mansion. So Curtis Mansion's number 5 on that list for me.
Great. So we have time for one last audience questions before we get to closing statements. So we'll start with Brett and go through the other candidates. And we got, again, several questions around housing and property taxes. And a little bit around senior housing. So this is similarly kind of combined into one question, or an A and B question. Saline residents, including seniors, worry about being priced out of their homes by high property taxes. What can City Council do to address this issue? And any thoughts or plans on senior housing?
What can City Council do? I think starting is that, you have this general fund. Because you have that money, I don't think you necessarily need to spend it. Sometimes it feels like we waste money on things like endless studies or collecting data for this and that we don't ever use. I think, that's a big one. As far as thoughts on senior housing, I wouldn't, personally, as far as like specific senior housing, I wouldn't be in support of that, mostly because I think that we need to be focusing on multifamily units if we're developing spaces. We have a lot of senior housing already in Saline. I definitely understand and respect the fact that it is very expensive to live in Saline. I feel that every single day, the rising taxes, and for sure.
I'm going to try to say this without kind of tearing up a little bit. Seniors and fixed income. It is a thing. It's really important. It's what keeps people from retiring when they want to. The inflation that we've experienced in the last couple of years has been more than we've experienced in like 10 to 20 years. And I am concerned for the residents that are on fixed income. And it's not just about the housing, it's about the cost of living. And it's really important that we keep the utility rates where they are. We don't have a bunch of unexpected expenses that cannot be absorbed. It is what pushed my parents out of their house in an affluent community that is much like Saline. It is a very passionate subject for me. I'm a single parent. I'm not swimming in it either. So it is also important to me as a single parent to make sure that those costs don't drive me out of my housing. With regards to the seniors, we have taken a great grant for our senior center, and I'd like to see the continuation of services through the senior center, as well as advocacy for the needs for our seniors in this community. Thank you.
This is a very complex, nuanced issue with lots of moving parts, and the increasing taxable value of the homes in this community don't just affect seniors, it affects all of us. I personally myself struggle to make ends meet, to be able to afford the rising costs of my mortgage when you have to account for the escrow that they got to adjust for every year over year when I get the tax assessment and my bills are going up. from council's perspective, I personally have never seen a mechanism to interfere or intervene with the assessor's office. It's handled separately by the state, and they have to follow their guides and procedures that are driven by market conditions that I have yet to discover a way to control or have any influence over. What I would like to see for senior housing, we made an effort to put some senior housing in place in the area over by the hotel and the new hardware store that went up. We had a development in place. We were in negotiations to work to get something there, and unfortunately that fell through. I want to continue to look at those options for establishing more senior housing, more affordable senior housing, and make this a priority for the community. Leverage our relationships with senators and congressmen about how to acquire grants and state funding opportunities for subsidized housing, because when market conditions drive us to a place where affording becomes unaffordable or housing becomes unaffordable, we have to get the state involved.
I mean, this was the thing that sort of got me involved in the first place. Was my grandparents have lived here since forever, and they're feeling priced out of the city that we've called home for generations. And it's not just the seniors that are feeling this too. I mean, it is the younger people. Honestly, seniors can relate more to people in Gen Z than they can to really any other generation from Millennial, Gen X. And it's because we're sort of in the same situation where the job market is so terrible right now. There's hardly any jobs that are paying enough money to live in this city for people that are just starting out. So I can only imagine what it is like with people that are on fixed incomes who have done everything right and are still feeling priced out of the place that they've called home for years. So that is something why that is why we need to sort of rethink zoning. And I've talked with several people on how we could address this, and I'm scared that I'm going to run out of time. So, but that's sort of why I've said that we need to look at how we can make our city livable and not just profitable.
So I do think that we need to make sure we have affordable housing, that we make sure utilities remain, we in some way lock them for people on fixed income. We do need grants, and if in the event that the grants aren't available, we need to find other avenues for making sure people have support they need in order to make house payments. Housing is something that I look at quite frequently because, as Matt mentioned, we are the generations that we're not able to afford housing, and we mostly rent. So I did notice that there was a community land trust that was just made for Ann Arbor, just a little ways away from here. If Saline could do something like that for helping with seniors and affordable housing, that would be awesome. Even if it's, just trying to go through and get subsidized housing, that would be a benefit to the community too. I do think that we have to be aware and very focused on allowing too much of the land to go to market value housing, because that's what's bringing up the cost of living and also the prices in the area, and it's all interconnected. And we do have to be aware that our city plan, we can't do all of our changes for the city within 1 to 2 years. We need to space it out over 5 to 10.
So this housing in general is an issue that is incredibly important to me. I know what it's like to get an eviction notice, to come home and all your belongings are on the curb. You did everything you were supposed to do, but you still ended up in that situation. And I just want to say that, first of all, there are actually a number of resources available at both the county and the state level. And if anyone is experiencing issues with property taxes or being able to afford them, I will speak to you personally and get you in touch with our city treasurer, Sarah Finch. Our state actually has a number of payment programs to help with people who are having trouble affording property taxes. Our county also actually, I think at the senior conference, they said we had about 5,000 or so foreclosure actions, and only about 11. And that was because the tax office was able to work with people. And so when I think about affordability and how we make it affordable and what the city can do directly, the city can make sure that seniors have the information. And when we think about senior housing specifically, I feel like this: if you get to retirement age, if you get to collecting your Social Security, you shouldn't have to worry about where you're going to lay your head. You shouldn't have to worry about where you're going to get your next meal. And the way we do that is we start making fiscally responsible decisions that can fund programs to keep seniors in their homes.
Thank you to each of you. So we are going to move to closing comments. We'll go back to, because we did have a quarter, so Jen will actually start with the closing comments.
So I'm Jen Harmount. I like being on city council. Why should you vote for me? Because I'm passionate, I'm persistent, and I'm a problem solver. I have lots of training in project management and process mapping, and I think that it's very important to be proactive and not reactive, and part of that is having a plan and having a process so that we can say when things don't go correctly, we can look back and reflect on the decisions that we made to determine where we maybe didn't make the right analysis, and so that we can make things better the next time. And if you don't have, it's not written, it's not a process, and that's an area that we really need to improve on for the city. And if I'm elected to be on city council, I will continue to work in that area, as that is one of my expertise.
And we'll go next to Brett.
Hey, so I'm Brett Collington. I would like to be on city council because I'm a creative problem solver. I come from the creative world. I'm a real estate agent, so I'm a one-on-one person. But this big room and this is not really my jam. This is I'm more of like a head down, do the work person, and I would say, based on some of the things you've probably heard me say tonight, all of which I'm sure are not may not be popular in this crowd. You'll know what you're getting with me. I'm never gonna just shy away from something because it's politically unpopular. But I'm somebody who, I have strongly held beliefs, but I also have very open ears. I've had conversations with some of you in this room about things that we may disagree about, and I'm always open to hear what people have to say and how we're gonna move forward. So yeah, I hope you vote for me.
We'll go next to Tremaine.
We're gonna stand up again just so everyone can kind of see. I don't think I'm Tremaine, and I just want to say, I came with my sleeves rolled up because I'm ready to get the work now. I'm ready to do the work today, and again, we have a choice. We have a choice to be a city that is forward thinking. We have a choice to be a city that is transparent. We have a choice to be a city that is smarter, safer, and sustainable. And I believe that I have a vision, I have a plan, I have the expertise. I'm a software developer, technical consultant by trade, so I'm used to solving problems. I'm used to building systems that scale. I think Saline is the most exciting startup that one could think about. And I don't want to give anyone Elon Musk PTSD, but I do look at it as we have an opportunity to do innovative things. We have an opportunity to do bold things. And I think that starts with electing leaders that are bold, leaders that want to disrupt the status quo. And I believe that I'm one of them. So I hope on November 1st or 4th, don't go on the 1st, November 4th, and if you have your ballots here with you tonight, I hope you make the choice to put Halsh in City Hall. Thank y'all.
We'll go next to Mary.
Hi, I'm Mary Widener, and the reason I'm running is because I see a need for communication between the residents and City Council. And I hope that I'm able to have conversations with anyone who wants to have a conversation, that even if I'm not elected, I'll still be the person who listens to any problems you have, and I'll probably show up to city council and bring them up, even if you don't have time to go there. Because I think it's important that our city council listens to the residents they represent, and they take their conversations and their thoughts and their issues to heart. And if I'm elected, I look forward to talking to everyone if they need someone to talk to, and also someone to just bounce their thoughts or issues off of. And I look forward to, I will still be volunteering all over Saline, so you'll probably still see me. So anyways, thank you for listening to us tonight, and I look forward to talking to you all later. Thank you.
Matt, we'll go to you next.
Hello, my name is Matthew Ong, and for me, why I want to be on city council is because there's a difference between nice and good. Nice people make you feel comfortable and content with how things are done, even if it's not in your best interest. Good people will vote on those things and make things happen. I have a simple campaign message, and that is to ask, learn, and serve. I don't claim to know all the answers. That's why I go to the people that know more than me, so that I have all of the correct information. And at the end of the day, I learn from that so that I know how best to serve the community. So, good people are willing to stand up for what's right, even if it might make some in the inner circle not happy. Because at the end of the day, you are elected to represent the community and the citizens, and you're not elected to represent what the city officials want and what's best for profits.
Great, and finally Jim.
Hi, Jim DeLorco. I just want to reiterate that during the time I did serve on council, I found the job to be a very rewarding experience. I took a lot of pride in the role, and I put a lot of effort and consideration into each and every decision that I made during the time that I was there. I went through great strides and lengths to make myself available to all of you, answering questions either via email or phone calls, and try to develop, put my finger on the pulse of the general consensus and the public opinion. And I took those thoughts and ideas with me to the council discussions, in addition to having read and prepared for those meetings. And I always came to the council decisions with an open mind, being prepared to change my mind if data were presented to move the needle in the other direction. You can't come to the decisions with your mind already made up. You have to be willing to listen and take in all points of view from multiple perspectives. And that, in essence, is the heart of what it means to be a good council member. None of us are doing this for the money. It's a tremendous amount of work, and most of us, I respect all of us up here that are willing to put in the time to do this. It's a big commitment, it's a big job, and we do it because we care deeply about Saline.
Thank you each so much for your time and for running for office and for being here. It's really, really appreciated. I am going to turn it over to Carrie from the Saline District Library and Catherine from the League of Women Voters for a few closing comments.
I just want to say thank you so much to everyone, to our candidates, to the League of Women Voters, to our high school students who are here helping. I think that's a great to see some young folks with this civic interest, and to all of you. This is what I envisioned in this room as we went through our renovations. A site like this kept me going through that year and a half of stressful renovations. And so I'm just thrilled that we were able to do this in person, and so happy to see all of you here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And I echo her statement. I'm so happy to partner with the library to provide this in-person forum. Thank you, candidates. An hour and a half of answering a lot of questions. It was wonderful. I listened raptly, like I was just engaged. I don't live in Saline, but I would love to, be in this town with some of you on the council. So thank you all. And I just wanted to mention too, for Additional nonpartisan information on candidates and ballot issues, we have vote411.org. We have bookmarks in the back too. It's the League's voter resource guide that has local, state, and federal candidates and information on ballot proposals. And also, whether absentee or in person, please vote in the Tuesday, November 4th election. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you.